Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the New York City Employees Retirement System Investment Meeting. Today is July 23rd, and we are at 335 Adams Street on the 22nd floor. And first order is the roll call of trustees.
Chair.
Here.
Controller's Office.
There.
Public Advocate's Office.
Present.
Borough President Manhattan.
Here.
Borough President Brooklyn. Here. Borough President Queens.
Here.
Borough President Staten Island. Borough President Bronx.
Here.
International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Here. Transport Workers Union.
Here.
District Council 37.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get started, do we have any changes in the order of the agenda or any additional items today? Okay, so everyone's in agreement on the agenda. So the first and only item on the public agenda, Larry, is the May performance review.
Perfect. So let me give you a couple of words before we get to May, because then we'll talk about June and the estimates for the year. So during May, the Fed tried to explain what its intentions were to be relative to ending purchases of government and mortgage securities. As you know, it buys $85 billion a month, and it's been doing a great job pumping up the economy to the extent that it can. And at some point it has to stop, and it tried to have a dialogue and pronouncements that said, here's what we're going to do, and here's the time frame by which you might do it, and they're really going to be road marks that have to do with the unemployment rate, which is consistent with what it said in the past. Having said that, the markets didn't understand and had violent reactions sort of end of May, June, which led to continued counter-communication from the Fed, from a variety of board governors, and culminated again with Bernanke talking to Congress. And I think they've gotten the genie sort of back in the bottle a little bit, but it was quite violent in June and part of May, which we're going to go through. It's inconvenient for us to be negatively violent in the month of June, since it's the 12th of 12 months, and damn, would have been nice to just have a nice calm June. But it seems like in 2 of the last 4 years, it's been violent Junes downward. So I kind of got used to it and stopped watching it every day, every minute of every day. So we're going to go through the May results. I'll give you a view on June. I'll give you an estimate on where we end up for the year. So if you start on page 34, so again, look at the far left-hand column. This is the month of May. So in the month of May, the stock markets in the U.S. were up about 2%, 2 plus. EFA was down 2.5%, and emerging markets were down 2.5%. And importantly, you can see that the core plus 5 treasuries were down about 4%. The TIPS further down was down over 4%. You recall we're underweighted as much as possible, both TIPS and governments, so we're in the right spot. And the high yield index sympathetically moved down about 0.75 of a point. So if you go to page 30, so basically, let's say up in the biggest thing we have is equities, so it's up 2, but the international equities in the bond market was down. So if you look on page 30, recall how we're set up. We're set up over-allocated, or maximum allocation to U.S. equities, minimum allocation to governments and TIPS, over-allocated high yield. Okay? So then if you go to page 36, you can see those combination of things, again, far left-hand column. The +2 in equities really helped a lot. So we've still made money in May. So coming into June, we're up 14.5%. All good. We have 30 days left. Then go back one page to page 35, and you can see what happened in June, because June is when the markets took their punishment or decided to overreact to what Bernanke said. So the U.S. stock market was down about 1.5%. EFA was down 3.5%. Emerging markets is down over 6%. Core plus 5 is down 2.5%. High yield markets down 2.5%. and tips is down 3.5. All negative, nothing's positive on this page. We're going to have a bad month. So then if you go to page 27, so we would estimate we lost sort of 2.5% if you just sort of take some weighted averages of these numbers. So if you go to page 27 now, you see that coming into through May, we're at about $47 billion. So if you take about 2.5%, you end up around $46 billion. So similarly, if you take 2.5% off of our going in number of about 14.5, we estimate that NYCERS was up about 12.4% for the year, and probably over $46 billion when all said and done. Again, it's an estimate. Lots of moving numbers. We'll have the final number when the CAFR comes out, but that's what we think. Now, plus 12.4 is still way over the 7% net we have to get, so it was a very good year. Everybody should be happy with the year. I would have been happy with 11 months. I didn't like the 12th month, but again, if you get a big lead, you end up okay. So again, we're up 12.4 estimate. And if you look on the next page, 28, you can see the 46-ish is going to be the highest amount ever. The 10-year average was sort of 7.8, again over the 7. We're going to add a 12. I'm not quite sure what we're taking off, but it looks like we're taking off a 10. So my guess is that number rolls forward a little bit as well on a 10-year basis. So all things good. A peek into July. Again, the comments that Bernanke made, because now we start at 0 again. It's like a new ball game, right? Now, first inning of the next year. Bernanke's calmed everybody down. The bond markets have rallied, so we're positive again in July for the first 22 days. So I think we'll have a positive month in July. So start over, see if we can get the runner to first base, and see how things work out for the rest of the game. Any questions on the year, the month, the results? I think it all worked out pretty well. We clearly had the right over and under allocations for the year. We didn't change them very much for what happened, so we just kind of left the dials where they are, and I think we're still in the right spots. Okay? All good? That ends your report.
Yeah.
Right?
I just would like to congratulate Larry Schloss and BAM, the Controller's Office, for a brilliant job in the past year in managing the New York City funds. There's been a lot of financial news, and some up and some down. So for the people that we represent, which are retirees and people still working that depend on these benefits, I just want to express my organization's thanks to you, Larry, and to your team and to the Controller for a brilliant job. Well done. Thank you.
And
Thanks.
I think that Ray has spoken on the Earl. I think we all agree that the job has been excellent, and we thank you for your very hard work.
The team did a great job with the support of the board.
And of course, the trustees are brilliant, and that always helps.
Your guidance was visionary.
The trustees are the one that keeps everything in line.
That's what we always say.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, thanks, Larry. Thanks, board.
Thank you. That concludes our public agenda. Do we have a motion to exit public agenda and enter executive session? Motion. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We are now in executive session, and we will just take